Welcome to another edition of 6BComics. Actually, this is a new thing that we have happening right now. Kenny Williams.
I'm James Roberts.
Yes, yes, you are.
There we go. Now the name is up.
There you go. And this is a brand new edition that we're bringing to our podcast. And it is called Man, That's an Improvement.
Man, that's an improvement.
That's an improvement. Is it though, James? Is it really an improvement?
We're about to find out. I think that's what we're going about to find out.
I think that you're probably right about that, man. Okay, so today what we're going to be discussing is something that is troubling to some people, and we're wondering, even amongst ourselves, it's something that myself and James have talked about a few times now. We're talking about AI in the
Yes.
art community, um, being both artists working on a graphic novel and wondering how this stuff is going to. A lot of people are really terrified about how AI is going to affect our pockets, how it's already being applied to different art. So, James, I guess I'll start by asking you, what is AI?
I have no idea. No, obviously artificial
That was a short
intelligence.
podcast.
Apparently we have a generative type of intelligence. It's right now we're dealing with prompted actions. So there has to be a user involved who types
Hmm.
in some sort of a prompt, and the generative AI takes that prompt, interprets that prompt, and produces how it gets its information. It produces that image. We'll stick with images since we're talking about art, because there's
Right,
several different AIs now. Video,
right.
animation, there's this everything.
And
But yeah, it produces the artwork. No, I they don't really say where they got their references from or what have you, but it
hmm
produces a piece of artwork and it's done, and it's done relatively quickly.
right. And the quality really depends on the prompter, but it means that someone who is not an actual artist can really create some spectacular looking stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I think I have an image that I can throw up, but not that image. Hold on, how the song goes, I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yeah, but I won't do that.
Here we go. Okay,
Okay, well, while Kenny's doing that, uh,
got it.
wow, you got me before I could make a
I got you
funny.
before you. My job is to always confound the confounder.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
what do you think about this image?
Well, it looks very emotionless.
Yeah.
That's the I guess that's the biggest thing. Now, technically, eyes, nose, mouth, hair, all of it looks, in the right place. But it also is sort of lack of emotion in this face to me. I don't know if
Now,
anybody
see,
else.
you're speaking like an artist,
Uh,
and
um, I
hold
am an
on.
artist, so how
I
else would I speak?
smell what
Okay.
the James is cooking.
Okay. Good.
Okay,
Good.
so yeah, in a nutshell, it's funny. I hear a lot of outrage in our communities and where a lot of our communities intersect. I
Mm,
know that they're using AI in law, they're using it in game design, they're using it in basically every place where people are looking for a shortcut. Um, I and I've already told you, I don't particularly really see a problem with AI.
Hmm.
For one reason is that everyone is acting like AI just got here. But, AI has been around for a very long time. We just never noticed it because they added in subtly. Um, you know, a lot of the features on our phones, whether you have an iPhone or an Android, is generative learning. Whether you use Siri or what's that other chick's name?
You know the other chick.
I can't think of it right now. But Siri, I'm not talking to you right now.
Ah, that's perfect.
That was perfect. But yeah, they have been using generative AI since they've been introduced onto the market. As a matter of fact, that's how they learn you, how they
Mm,
get used to your contacts, and how they can follow the locations you like to go to, or know what time of day you're gonna ask what the weather is. Or for that matter, is how they are able to jump from app to app to answer those questions for you,
mm,
and then order you an Uber so you can get there. So generative AI has been around forever, but this is not the first time technology dropped in the laps of the world that felt like it would affect artists. I just gave it away, but I remember in the late '80s and the early '90s, around the time that uh, the legendary adventures of Hercules and Xena, the warrior princess, uh, which is funny that I brought those up because they were using video toasters, which was a very easier way to create CGI. And a lot of that toaster work found itself in those shows. And people were saying that animators are going to be out of a job because these things can do what they're doing at half the cost and half the price and no labor or health benefits, right?
right.
But as we all know, when we were watching Hercules and Xena, one, the Uncanny Valley was ridiculous, which we'll come back to in a minute. The Uncanny Valley was ridiculous. Second, the artwork started looking redundant,
Mm,
and it showed. And then how they were able to save it in time for the big movies and the big finales, they had to hire artists again to take those generated images and clean them up to make them more robust and to fix the things that the machine didn't know how to fix. Um, that's just my opinion. Uh, I talked about the uncanny valley, and what the uncanny valley is, that space between things looking human and missing it by a whole. So apparently, there is a scale where you can get real close to human and then you miss it just enough that it looks unnatural.
yeah,
Whether it's, yeah, go ahead.
the human perception of particularly of faces
Yeah,
picks up with minute details and can tell. That's just it gives you that unreal feeling.
right.
Just
And for you people who uh, are still having a hard time grasping, it's the reason you can go to, say, The Lion King and watch it on Broadway. And, the actor on stage, which is hundreds of yards away from you, can tilt his head a certain way, furrow his brow, and move the corner of his mouth by 3 millimeters, and you can still get the impact of his emotion. Uh, the first language that all humans learn is body language. So long before we learn how to speak and long before we understand tone, we're already reading body language. And Uncanny Valley, when it hits that wall, it's your body is automatically able to perceive something's not right here. This is not a human because I can't read, or the body language stops the the message stops relaying to you,
Okay.
and it falls into what we call uncanny. That was hard. I think I hurt my brain on that one.
That's okay. That's okay, Ken.
Okay,
We
I'm gonna
can.
hide this because she's kind of creeping me out right now. Just saying. But all right. So, oh, I forgot to remind everybody who you're watching. Bam, 6B Comics. Holla. um, so that's my stance on it. My stance is that I don't think that it's a big never mind because you still need an artist to better interpret. Um, and yeah, I know that you can find some AIs that are a lot smarter. People
Mhm.
are already doing deep fakes. Um, like the what season finale of Mandalore season 2.
Mhm.
Yeah, where they brought back Luke Skywalker. But again, Uncanny Valley. It looked good, but it was obviously not Luke Skywalker. Rather, not Mark Hamill. It was
Yes.
obviously not him. So, you can do some pretty awesome stuff with it. But again, it took those Disney artists to get on top of that AI and make it look really fantastic, believable. The lights, the shadows, the movement, uh, the movements that they threw in that were signature Mark Hamill was nice, but it still didn't fool me enough to think that it was the real deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm beating a dead horse right here.
Yeah. Well, I see what your point is. That there is not like a real threat to the artist per se,
Hmm.
in the sense of the upper echelon of art, and that's I'm going to say the upper echelon because we're talking about the ones who are really generating some of the images that would fool people or what have you,
Right,
uh, and the effects that go when you don't even notice that there are effects in some of the films because
right,
the people who do it are so good at it, you just think that it's normal.
right.
Those are the people who I
Unsung
think,
heroes.
yeah, and those are the ones who can stave off the AI um monster that's coming into the art world. Reason I call it a monster, I don't disagree with Ken. Actually, I agree that um, I think it changes the playing field, but I don't think it helps out the artist at all.
No, it really
What
doesn't.
and what I mean by that is the technical ability to create some of the stuff that artists create takes time, it takes effort, takes learning, takes as a matter of fact, there's so many different things that go into it. Kenny mentioned body language. That becomes a major part. Understanding body language, understanding how it's supposed to feel.
Hmm.
Uh a human has to experience a lot of stuff in order to really create on that level. And there's going to be a lot of young artists who won't even try now because it's can easily be typed into a system. Who would spend a decade studying anatomy when they could simply type into a system some sort of a thing.
Prompt.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's the word, prompt, and it spits it out almost immediately. Um, so it's like everything else. If you make it easier for somebody to do it, that's the course that people normally take. They take the easy road. But I don't think it's the better road. Uh, I think ideation and being able to create with your creativity, um, and really understanding what you're looking at, composition, lights and shadows, the mold, the motions that you can draw from it. Obviously, it's not. I don't think the AI is there yet to do that, but I don't doubt that it'll be there. I don't
And
doubt that it will
it's
become part of the.
funny that you bring that up because it's still learning. There's
Yeah.
certain things that it still has no, um, it can't really grasp. For example, hands,
Yeah, that's
hands
a good one.
and feet, actually.
Hmm.
And to a lesser degree, in my experience, it seems to be struggling a lot with African Americans. It, I don't know. It's there. It's okay. So little confession. I do use AI from time to time. I use AI for to um, come up with ideas. I use AI after I've done a drawing to see what it would look with a different background, with a different perspective. Uh, Sometimes even just changing the nationality of the person, just to see what
Hmm.
it would look like. And I find, to your point, James, that it is not easy, because I find that whenever I do use AI, there's a heavier workload for me afterwards. I've
Mm.
got to fix this perspective. I got to fix this hand. I've got to fix this foot. I've got to fix this angle. And darn, where did this third leg come from? It's a lot of work. So, in my opinion, AI is just another tool. I mean, and for example, uh, what in the it was around Captain Video. That was the late '80s, right?
Captain Video. I must be
Yeah,
getting old because I don't remember Captain Video.
it was on Channel 11. You do remember it? Stop lying.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
But that was like the first American, where you were able to change the outcome by buying a ray gun or something and shooting at the screen.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and also around that time, you started seeing a move in animation studios from using traditional hand-drawn animation to using
Hmm.
some CGI elements in the backgrounds, and sometimes even in the foregrounds and with
Hmm.
the characters in the background, to save. And again, they thought that it was going to cost um, animators their jobs, and maybe it seemed like that for a second, but after a while, once again, the limitations of the software prove that you still need the artist. So, as you said, in any given drawing, I mean, we lose our minds sometimes. The things that we have to bear in mind. You already talked about the anatomy and the perspective and the tone and the color theory and the
Hmm.
bounce light, right? And don't have more than one light source, right? And then, oh wait, and then after all of that, we have to add clothes and texture. There's a lot that goes into a drawing, and even though I draw a lot in my head, James is the one that will draw 100 drawings as practice before he starts the actual drawing.
This is true. This is very
Yeah,
true.
it is. So this thing is freaking me out. So I'm putting her away. I'm putting her away, James.
You may.
Thank you. Bam. Bye bye. All right. So yeah, I think it's just a tool. So now I don't use it usually in my final art. I'm
Hmm.
going to tell you right there. I do not generally use it in my final art, because many times when I use a prompt to look at something that I'm working on, the first thought is, "Oh, that's cool," and then I was like, "But that kind of sucks." Yeah, yeah. So
I think the other aspect of it is that your regular person can
right,
type in that prompt and get a piece of artwork out uh, that they think looks great.
right,
You may present that to an artist and they say it's technically good, but it could be better, or you could do this, that, or the other thing with it. I don't think most people would even think about a lot of that stuff. One of the things that you were saying is kind of repetitive. It's the same thing that they're doing, and that's what winds up happening with a lot of the art. It just keeps repeating certain patterns in how it presents, while an artist knows, yeah, I've seen this a million times. Let me change the angle. Let me use a darker
Right.
tone. You know what I mean? That those little, I'll say, nuances bring drawings into a new life to it, if you will. While AI is not, again, not there yet, but I don't doubt that one day it will be. Just right now, I don't think artists. Well, you have to reach a certain level though.
Right.
Again, my biggest concern is the effort that it takes to create. And here's another little aspect of it why I don't think it's going to. It may affect how much money artists make, but people
Mm-hmm.
always want to create.
Always.
Yeah, that is just a part of who we are as a species.
Jim.
We're creative, and we're
Right.
going to be creating stuff. And I don't doubt that there's going to be a lot of artists who still come out of this, maybe looking more at the emotions, or more at the composition, or more at how to tell that story the right way, with that really impacts people. It may make artists approach the art differently,
Right.
which
So
is
I want
not a
to I
bad
want to
thing.
show this right quick. Um, this is a surprise. James does not know I'm doing this. Bam! Three sisters.
Ah,
Three sisters.
the Three
Now,
Sisters.
James, when we first discussed this podcast, James had never used AI in his
This is
art.
correct. This is very correct.
So this is one of the drawings that's on our 6B Comics Instagram. See it while it's still hot. Uh,
Yeah.
and he did the three sisters. So as an experiment, I told James, why don't we go to one of the AI generators, drop the image in, and see what it can do. James, do you have any of those saved on your computer?
I wish if you'd have told me earlier, I would have had them saved on my computer. I'd been able
Well,
to
I,
present
I
them.
just thought of the idea just now,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was interesting. So, what were your thoughts on those images, James?
Uh Again, I can't remember exactly what I was thinking in that moment. But now reflecting back, I like some of the stuff that it did. I mean, it changed up a little bit. It worked off of the base of what I had, but
Hmm.
it's still I don't want to say it looked manufactured, but
You can say it, James. It's just you and me here.
yes,
Nobody will get you.
nobody else, nobody's gonna ever see this. No, I don't know. What did you think of it? Because it's my art that it was altering.
Hmm.
So it wasn't like I put it the way I wanted to see it. But what did
Right.
you think as a viewer?
Well, the the way that you hit the prompts is you wanted to see what it would look like if it was
Hmm.
more of a swampy background.
Yes,
And I thought that when you put the prompt in, that it was going to give you keep it as dark as it was, but make it like a swamp background. But instead, it threw color on all of your images.
it
Um,
did.
I I thought that what came out looked really good for what it was, but it didn't give you what you actually asked for.
Hmm.
So,
Again, it interpreted what I put in.
right.
And I guess that's also part of the thing. I see a lot of people training people to get more of a better response from
Out
the
of their
prompts.
prompts. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's teaching them what language, how to speak to the AI to get a better result.
Now, we
So
did like the fact that in a couple of the images, they threw the full moon in it.
yeah,
And yeah, I felt, like I said, I liked some of the images. Some of them I was like, okay, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
hmm
But the one where it threw the third sister into the background
Yeah, it
by
became more like a ghost.
like an apparition, right?
Yeah, yeah, which I
That
thought
was
was an
kind of cool,
interesting idea and
right?
ideation, but it wasn't. It shouldn't have been part of the thing because
James,
that
spell
was
it. You use that word again. Ideation. Spell it.
uh,
What
you
does it
know what
mean?
I
What does
mean.
it mean? What does it mean?
It means a variation or a new look, an idea generated. So
Yeah.
multiple ideas generated.
Now,
Um,
I may be limiting myself, but that is how I generally see AI as an idea generation generator based on the idea that I already have. I put in the prompt. I make it as detailed as I can. Some of the stuff I keep, some of the stuff I kick out. But
mm,
it just kind of helps me to narrow down my image. Now, what were you saying before? I
I have no
rudely
idea.
cut
Well, I
you
was
off.
just talking about the apparition being the one of the characters becoming more like an apparition than the others, and how it generated an idea in me when I saw it. I was like, oh, we could do this, that, or the other thing with that.
Right,
But that was not what the prompt was calling for.
right. Should I should I throw up the man that's an improvement?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. For viewers, I want you to know I don't do anything without asking James first, because that gets a little dangerous.
Ah,
But for this idea, for our screenshot, our thumbnail
mhm,
rather, um, I wanted to do something that kind of evoked home improvement. Okay, and we were still in the middle of Inktober, and
mm.
you might say I'm still in the middle of Inktober because I still got three more images that I have to draw.
Well, it
But
was our own version of it. It was
right,
Manga Monstober.
Manga Monstober, absolutely.
Yes.
So while we and check it out, the idea was to draw one anime monster a day for the entire month of October. James finished his, and I still have three more to go. I almost had two, but that would be a lie. Uh, so while we were working on that, we came up with the idea of this podcast, and I had an idea for 6B Comics. I wanted it to kind of evoke tool time
Hmm.
because I wanted it to deal with the fact that it's unfinished, it's incomplete because the this is the title that we intend to use when we're exploring art tropes, art issues, and art questions like today. But I didn't have time to draw it out. So what I did is I created a prompt and I said I wanted it to be based on the theme of tool time, uh, but making it look like it's unfinished and stuff like that. Okay. And after about eight or nine ideations, I'm learning, James,
Yes.
ideations,
Hmm.
it came up with something that was very close. Now, James will tell you, I had to kind of reconstruct the entire thing because it gave me gibberish instead of what I wanted to. I had to create some that actually every just about every letter and every word that's in here, I had to kind of draw them up from scratch,
Mm.
which kind of defeated the purpose of doing something quick, which is why I'm saying that I find that doing the and maybe like you said, James, maybe it's because I'm an artist. Let me come out of here right quick.
Okay.
Maybe it's because I'm an artist and I like to do art things. And, I'm looking at all yep, I'm looking at all of the possibilities, the directions that I would normally move in.
Hmm.
Oof, that gave me a headache. Oh, by the way, check us out at 6B. 6BComics.com, Instagram, and YouTube, all using the moniker of 6BComics. So I had fun fixing it at the end, not in the beginning, and definitely not in the middle, but
Well,
at the end, yeah.
you should be proud of yourself, Ken. It took a lot of work, and you were working on other stuff at the time. So,
And I think that that is the point that I'm going to settle on. Whether you use AI or drawing from scratch, it's going to take work on your part. Um, if you are an artist and you're on this art journey, as me and James are, where you finish a piece and you think that it's beautiful, and then immediately you start tearing it apart and say, "What I will do the next time, it'll be better." Uh, AI is a tool that you will use many, many times, and it'll be another tool that's in your pocket, in your toolbox. But that doesn't mean that the amount of work you have to put in it is any less. Agree, disagree?
I agree with most of that. Just because I
Uh-oh.
always have to disagree with you on some.
Go for it.
Uh, I
He
think this.
wasn't joking, by the way. Go ahead.
I think that it is a tool. But I do think, at least in the early point of this developing tool,
Hmm.
that some companies will definitely try to sidestep artists to try to create it on their own.
Right.
As AI gets better, that I think that may be even more of a possibility. Uh, but as of right now, I don't think I think it's a tool to be used, and I think like a lot of people do know about it, but I guess you have to be in the business, in the know, to really see the impact that it is having across the board.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, it's a tool. It's a tool.
Yeah. And as I said before, I use it all the time. I use it to help with writing letters. I work for the school system. I use it to write letters to the parents. I
Mm,
use it to help me to draft emergency communications and stuff like that. But even when I'm doing letters and documents and stuff like that, I always find myself having to go back, read it over, and rewrite large portions of it. Again, so that it feels human
hmm. Yeah,
and yeah, and so that it feels natural. Because otherwise, the cookie cutter thing doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. So, final thoughts on? Wow, this is a short one.
yeah. Well, that's okay. That's all right. Wasn't much to say about AI. It's
Yeah.
a tool. It's a tool that we definitely need to learn how to use,
Hmm.
because it does speed things up in the sense of generating ideas.
Hmm.
Um, and it gives you something to start. It's not like a blank page that you're looking at. You
Right.
can actually type some words, and you have something in front of you that you can now mold and shape into something else. Uh,
Ooh, I like that because that's what AI feels to be like. It feels like play. Like you're
mm,
you're you're, you're molding an idea and trying to shape it to the idea that you have in your head. Sometimes, you're using a hammer and saw to nudge it into place. But yeah,
hmm.
that's actually how I use it. But go ahead, continue.
uh, yeah. Well, that was my point, that we now have a quicker way to get started, to generate some ideas, or at least, even I'm thinking more along the lines in big business, to be able to have uh the uh the person who's commissioning you, or the person who wants something,
Hmm.
to have an idea to show you what it is that they're thinking about, and
Right,
then you
right.
you give them even more ideas as to how they could build it up. So again, artists with experience, artists who have learned a lot of the principal skills that are necessary, will be able to take advantage of
And
this
run with
tool.
that. Yeah,
Yes. So
Absolutely.
learning those skills still is required, and that takes time and energy. You
Right.
know, it's
I'm
just
looking at some of
unavoidable.
I'm looking at some of the animation that, people are doing it now that it's starting to move into animation.
Mm-hmm.
And what last year they couldn't get the faces to stay the same, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a bunch of like thousands of different images that don't really flow into each other, and they were
Right.
trying to do it, and then they improved the generative AI, and now they actually have people walking and talking. No, I'm not
Yeah.
going to say that one. But people are doing all kinds of, I'll just say, interesting things with
Mm-hmm.
AI right now. So it's a technology that's growing. I mean, I'm dating myself, but I remember when I was working for Computer City. Ooh, I really dated myself there.
Yes.
And they came out with the language recognition software. So,
Mm.
and again, that was in its way generative AI because the more you used it, the more it got used to your speech patterns.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really uh, dumb version of it, but that code is definitely in the AI right now, and they built upon that. So it's ever growing, and eventually we'll get to Star Trek's computer. We got a ways to
And
go before we get there.
yes, we've got a minute before that, but
A
it's
minute
the
before that.
direction. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Uh, you're right about that.
So, and the uses are, innumerable. Um, Again, I really believe that it's going to take either a wordsmith or a
Mm.
very good artist to be able to take hit. I mean, to be able to
Just
utilize
with
it
the
to its fullest.
yeah,
Yeah,
just with words, be able to create an image without anybody ever having to do some sort
right.
of fix up or touch up on it.
Which will probably cause it to divert into two different paths, James.
Mm.
The art path and the uh the audio with an L. See what I did? You
Yes,
gave a big word, I gave a big word.
very
Okay,
nice.
mine is a little smaller, but yeah, I might we might see it branching off, but again, it feels like what the creators are trying to do is get to Star Trek's computer.
Well, again, that is the way we are as human beings. Some of the
Hmm.
things like that have shown up in Star Trek already are starting to show up in the real world. Communicators literally are the cell phones that we use today. They're their own computers.
Yeah, and the
And
original ones look just like StarTACs.
yeah, exactly.
Or rather, StarTACs look like their communicators.
Yes.
And that pad,
So,
that pad that Nurse Janice kept bringing to Kirk to sign,
mhm.
that was an iPad, man. Stop playing.
Yeah. But that's the idea though. A lot
Yes.
of that the older technology invented in science fiction
Yeah.
eventually become a reality. It's
Right.
an idea becoming something. The writer or the creator of that idea couldn't really create it at the time,
Right.
but when the technology presented itself, somebody else picked that up and ran with it, and then they made a lot of money off of it. A whole lot of money.
So I
But
guess the
that's another
final,
story altogether.
that's another story, or that's a different podcast.
Yes.
But, but I guess the final question that I'll ask for the night then is AI technology, good or bad?
It's a tool. It's neither good nor bad. It's how you use it. Uh, oh,
Well
I
played.
get an applause.
You got
Thank you.
applause for that
Okay.
on camera.
Yes, yes, recorded and whatnot. That's amazing.
Wow. But yeah, I agree. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
Just a tool, and good or bad is depending on how that tool is being used.
Hmm.
Um, will there be people that use it, take advantage of it, and use it to uh, not have to work, but have that work for them? I'm sure that there will be, but don't kill the the populace for what the minority did,
Correct.
which is why I always hated the Minority Report. But bump. All right, so that's our take on it. Any last words, James?
No, I just can't wait to see what we come up with next, which
Right,
is the we're gonna try to again be more consistent with our uploads,
right.
and we can't wait for you guys to see it. And as we improve, we
Hmm.
we uh we can't wait for you guys to let us know what you like and what you don't like.
Right. And feel free to share this podcast with family, friends, fellow artists, because you'll be helping the cause. Once again, check us out on 6BComics.com, on Instagram, and on YouTube. This has been, man, that's an improvement with 6B
6B
Comics.
Comics.
Have a good
All
night,
right.
everyone.
Good night.
Peace.